the Mi A1 was any indication of what Xiaomi can do with the stock Android interface, the Mi A2 that launched today drives that home even further. Hey guys, welcome to Digit.in. I'm Shubhrajit and today we are taking an in-depth look at the Xiaomi Mi A2. I've been using the Mi A2 for a few days before the launch and boy oh boy was I left impressed. There's an obvious bump in the performance, but the most startling upgrade is in the camera. The Mi A2 comes out as an all-rounder and this video will prove exactly that. So watch on. Starting with the design, you will know it's a Xiaomi device right when you pick it up. The Mi A2 takes the design of the Redmi Note 5 Pro and refines it further. It also bucks the trend of using glass backs and sticks to metal, which makes it a lot more sturdier. The finishing is super smooth and super slippery, but you do get a TPU case out of the box that takes care of it and the camera bump. Oh yes, the camera bump on this one is huge. There's Gorilla Glass 5 on top and at its thinnest, the Mi A2 measures just 7.3mm. I mean, just look at that. The buttons on the edges are a little wobbly though. We've had complaints from Xiaomi users of the buttons failing after a few months of use, so I'd be a little careful with it. The fingerprint sensor is centrally placed and can be reached quite easily, while up front, Xiaomi has replaced the capacitive navigation button with on-screen navigation keys. Overall, the design of the Mi A2 is quite functional and robust, and unlike other glass-backed phones, this one will last you longer. Now coming to the display, the Mi A2 sports a 5.9-inch IPS LCD panel of 18:9 resolution. You can see there's no notch on top and the display is seamless and uninterrupted. Content on YouTube and Netflix scale up to fit the screen and mostly it looks bright and vibrant. There's a slightly bluish tinge on top that cannot be tweaked in the settings, but unless you're familiar with color calibration, it's likely that you'll not notice it. The Mi A1 last year didn't really stress on the raw performance. Thankfully, the Mi A2 changes that. The phone is powered by the Snapdragon 660, which is Qualcomm's top-of-the-line mid-range chipset that goes all the way up to 2.2 GHz. However, its mid-range superiority is marred by the Honor Play that also launched this week, sporting flagship-grade specs. Compared to that, the Mi A2 seems quite weak, as the benchmark results will tell you. But in real-world usage, the phone seemed quite stable. It's an Android One phone, so you get no frills, pure stock Android Oreo with regular security updates and an upgrade to Android 9 Pie when it's available. Yes, that's what it's called, who would have thought. I used the Mi A2 extensively in a recent trip to China to cover a gaming expo where I used the camera every half a minute, messaged back and forth with my team, looked up things on the internet and browsed social media. Despite all this, the phone never slowed down. Apps switched almost instantly and loading times were decently fast. There were also some instability issues I faced where Instagram would crash after some time, but that's likely a firmware issue that Xiaomi will address in a future OTA update. However, gaming on the phone did heat up the phone by a lot. A single match of PUBG and the phone hit temperatures of around 42 degrees. That's certainly more than average, but that doesn't really make the phone unusable. As for the camera, this is where the Mi A2 shines. There's a vertically aligned dual camera unit on the back, a primary 12-megapixel lens and a secondary 20-megapixel sensor. Up front, there's the same 20-megapixel sensor as well. And what's interesting about the dual cameras here is that the secondary sensor can do pixel binning. It's essentially combining 4 individual pixels in the sensors into one big super pixel to reduce image noise while taking low-light photos. It's complicated technology, but this camera samples will tell you the improvement it makes to low-light photos. I spent a lot of time roaming around Shanghai streets at night, which gave me a good opportunity to test out the low-light imaging of the Mi A2. As you can see, there's minimal noise with the details preserved quite well. In some cases, ISO hit up to 2000 and even then there was no noise. However, a lack of stabilization of any sort mean you'll need to have steady hands or else images will come out something like this. The portrait mode of the phone is also quite stunning. The blurring around the edges was consistent, while the bokehs didn't look unnatural at all. This is perhaps one of the best applications of the bokeh mode I have seen in a smartphone in this price range. Check out the samples. My main complaint with the Mi A2 is its battery life. Owing to its slim form factor, Xiaomi had to be a little miserly with the battery capacity. You only get a 3010 mAh battery, which falls below the usual 3500 mAh battery seen in other mid-range phones. However, an efficient chipset coupled with stock Android interface means you easily get a day's worth of usage. I used the phone extensively during my coverage and I didn't have to charge it before 6:30 in the evening. The Mi A2 also supports Quick Charge 4.0, but out of the box, you only get a standard slow charger, which is a major bummer. But overall, the Mi A2 is quite the all-rounder. It has all the elements of success: a robust design, a functional design at that as well, a reliable display, a lightweight UI augmented by a fast-performing chipset, and a class-leading camera, especially in the low-light segment. It makes the Xiaomi Mi A2 hard to pass over. The improvement in performance and especially the camera is reason enough to upgrade if you own the Mi A1. However, if you are more of a gamer, you can also look at the Honor Play. But if you ask me, I would recommend the Mi A2 over the Honor Play simply for its all-round performance. Well, that's all we had to say about this phone. If you have more to add, let us know in the comments, and for more videos like this, please subscribe to Digit.in.